7 drinks that make night urination worse. Avoid after 6 p.m. Ever feel like your bladder has its own alarm clock? You finally settled in, you're deep in a dream, and then, bam, you're wide awake, shuffling down a cold hallway to the bathroom for the 3rd time tonight. It's exhausting, isn't it? You wake up feeling like you haven't slept a wink, dragging yourself through the next day on caffeine and sheer willpower. Now, as a doctor, I hear the same thing from my patients all the time. Doc, I guess this is just what happens when you get older. But I'm here to tell you that's not always the case. Aging might be a factor, but often, the real culprit is sitting right on your nightstand. There are specific drinks, some that even look healthy, that act like a go signal for your kidneys the moment your head hits the pillow. The frustrating part? You might be sipping on these every single night without realizing they're sabotaging your rest. We're talking about a chemical domino effect that forces your body to produce more urine than it should during those precious hours of deep sleep. If you want to stop the midnight trips and finally wake up feeling refreshed, you need to know which liquids are your secret enemies after 6 p.m. Today, we're breaking down the 7 drinks that are making your nighttime urination worse. We'll also talk about what you should be swapping them for to keep your bladder quiet until morning. Stick around until the very end, because our #1 spot is something millions of Americans use specifically to relax before bed, but it's actually the biggest reason you're seeing the bathroom light at 3 a.m. All right, let's clear something up. Most of my patients think that if they just sip a smaller glass of water, they'll be fine. But here's the medical reality. Nighttime urination, or nocturia, as we call it in the clinic, isn't just about how much you're drinking. It's really about what you're drinking and when that last sip hits your system. Think of your bladder like a sensitive internal sensor. Certain drinks don't just fill it up, they actually hijack it. Some liquids are diuretics, meaning they chemically force your kidneys to work overtime and pull extra water from your blood. Others are bladder irritants. They act like a pinch to your bladder lining, making it feel like you have to go even when it's barely full. And some even mess with your brain's sleep-wake cycle, making it easier for a tiny bit of pressure to wake you out of a deep sleep. This is why the 6 p.m. cutoff is so critical. By the time the sun goes down, your body should be shifting into storage mode, where your kidneys naturally slow down. But when you introduce the wrong ingredients late in the evening, you're essentially hitting the override button. Even just a few ounces of the wrong thing can be the difference between 8 hours of solid rest and a frustrating night of up and down to the bathroom. So, if you're tired of your sleep being interrupted, we need to identify these liquid triggers. Let's look at the first drink on our list, and it's one that many people think is actually helping them hydrate, but it's doing the exact opposite once the lights go out. Drink number 7, the fizzy culprit. Let's start with a classic American staple. You're sitting on the couch after dinner, catching up on your favorite show, and you reach for a cold soda. It feels like a harmless way to unwind, right? Well, whether you're reaching for a classic cola or a guilt-free diet version, that bubbly drink is actually a double-edged sword for your bladder. In fact, for many of my patients, cutting out the evening soda is the aha moment that finally lets them sleep through the night. Here's the first reason why: the bubbles. That carbonation, the very thing that makes soda refreshing, is a major bladder irritant. Think of those tiny bubbles as a physical tickle to your bladder lining. It creates a sensation of urgency, making your brain think your bladder is full when it's actually nowhere near capacity. It's like a false alarm going off at 2 a.m., forcing you to get out of bed for a trip to the bathroom that wasn't even necessary. The second reason is what's in the soda. If it's regular soda, you're dealing with a massive spike in sugar. High blood sugar can actually pull more fluid out of your tissues and into your kidneys, essentially filling the tank faster than normal. But don't think the diet version is a haven. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame or saccharin are notorious bladder irritants. They can be even more aggressive than sugar, causing the bladder to spasm and making that "I have to go right now" feeling much more intense. So, if you're sipping on a soda while watching the 8 o'clock news, you're essentially giving your bladder a wake-up call just as you're trying to wind down. My advice? If you crave that fizz, try to move it to lunchtime. After 6 p.m., your bladder needs quiet, not a bubbly chemistry experiment. Let's keep that evening routine calm, so your body knows it's time for rest, not for another bathroom run. Drink number 6, the healthy hijacker. Now, this next one usually catches my patients off guard because we've been told our whole lives that it's the gold standard of health. We're talking about citrus juices. That tall glass of orange juice, a refreshing lemonade, or even those fancy grapefruit-based immunity blends. During a Sunday brunch, they're fantastic. They're packed with vitamin C and antioxidants. But if you're pouring a glass with dinner or using it as a late-night thirst quencher, you're accidentally handing your bladder an eviction notice for your sleep. Here is the medical why. Citrus fruits are highly acidic. When you drink that OJ, that acidity changes the pH balance of your urine. Your bladder lining is incredibly sensitive. Think of it like the skin on the inside of your cheek. When highly acidic urine sits in your bladder for hours while you sleep, it acts as a constant irritant. It's like pouring lemon juice on a tiny scratch. It creates a burning urgency that signals your brain to wake up and empty the tank immediately, even if it's only a quarter full. What's worse is that as we sleep, our bodies naturally try to concentrate our urine to save water. If you've loaded up on citrus after 6 p.m., that acid becomes even more concentrated in the middle of the night. This is why you might feel that pressure or a sharp urge to get up at 3 a.m. that just won't let you fall back asleep. It's not that you have a weak bladder, it's that your bladder is trying to protect itself from that acidic irritation by getting rid of it as fast as possible. Look, I'm not saying you should quit the vitamin C. Just change the clock. Enjoy your citrus juices with breakfast or lunch when your body is active and processing fluids quickly. Once the clock strikes 6 p.m., it's time to switch to something more pH neutral. Your bladder will thank you, and your pillow will finally see more of you. Now, speaking of healthy drinks that backfire, wait until you see what number 5 is. It's a nighttime favorite for millions. Drink number 5, the double whammy alarm clock. Now, you might be thinking, Doc, I'd never drink an energy drink before bed. But here's what I see in my clinic. Many of my patients, especially those working late shifts or busy parents trying to survive the evening chores, reach for a pick-me-up around 5 o'clock or 6 p.m. just to finish the day. Whether it's a colorful canned drink or one of those tiny energy shots, you aren't just buying energy. You're buying a first-class ticket to a sleepless night and a very busy bathroom. Here's the science of why these are so explosive for your bladder. Energy drinks are usually loaded with massive amounts of caffeine, often triple what you'd find in a standard cup of coffee. Caffeine is a powerful diuretic. It tells your kidneys to stop reabsorbing water and instead dump it straight into your bladder. It's like turning a faucet on high and then trying to go to sleep while the sink is overflowing. Your body simply cannot hold that much volume while you're in a horizontal position. But there's a second, sneakier problem: the stimulants. Energy drinks are a cocktail of caffeine, taurine, and often high fructose corn syrup. These keep your brain in a state of high alert. Usually, when you sleep, your brain produces a hormone called ADH, antidiuretic hormone, that tells your kidneys to slow down for the night. But when you're wired on stimulants, your brain stays awake. That hormone doesn't kick in, and your kidneys keep pumping out urine at daytime speeds. You're essentially stuck in a loop where your brain won't shut down and your bladder won't stop filling. So you end up with the ultimate double whammy. You're staring at the ceiling because your heart is racing, and every time you do drift off, your bladder yanks you back awake. If you need a boost to get through the evening, try a quick 10-minute walk or a splash of cold water on your face instead. Save the energy drinks for the morning, or better yet, skip them entirely. Your heart, your sleep, and your bladder will all be much happier. Now, our next drink is one that people often use specifically to sleep, but it's actually the ultimate betrayer. Drink number 4, the evening coffee trap. Let's talk about a habit that feels as American as apple pie, that warm cup of coffee after dinner. Maybe you're out at a restaurant, or you just like the ritual of a hot mug while you unwind. You might even be thinking, it's okay, Doc, I switched to decaf after 5 p.m., so I'm safe. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but for your bladder, that harmless evening cup, even the decaf version, can be a total game changer, and not in a good way. Here is the medical secret: decaf does not mean no caffeine. By law, decaffeinated coffee still contains about 3% of the original caffeine content. While that might not keep your brain buzzing, it's often just enough to act as a mild diuretic for a sensitive bladder. But it's not just about the caffeine. Coffee is naturally packed with acidic compounds and oils that are known bladder stimulants. These compounds can irritate the bladder's smooth muscle, causing it to contract and give you that "I have to go" feeling, even when you only have an ounce or two of urine ready. Think about the timing. If you have that cup at 7 p.m., it takes your body a few hours to process those fluids and chemicals. Right as you're entering your first cycle of deep, restorative sleep around 11 p.m., your kidneys are finishing their work and dumping that processed coffee into your bladder. Because coffee is a stimulant, it doesn't just fill the bladder, it makes it twitchy. Instead of your bladder expanding quietly like a balloon while you sleep, it stays on high alert. One little twitch and your brain wakes you up, thinking it's an emergency. I see so many patients who struggle with broken sleep, and the moment they move their coffee habit to strictly before 2 p.m., their nighttime bathroom trips drop by half. If you really crave that warm, roasty flavor in the evening, try a chicory root coffee or a herbal tea, which we'll talk about later. But if you value a solid 8 hours of rest, let's agree to leave the coffee beans for the morning. Your bladder needs a break just as much as your brain does. Now, if you think coffee is a big one, wait until we get to number 3. It's a drink people often turn to specifically to decompress after a long day, but medically speaking, it's the absolute worst thing you can do for your sleep quality and your bathroom schedule. Drink number 3, the nightcap paradox. Now, let's get real about one of the most common habits I see. After a stressful day at the office or a long week of chores, it's so tempting to pour a glass of red wine, crack open a beer, or fix a stiff cocktail to take the edge off. You might even find that it helps you drift off to sleep faster. But here's the clinical truth I tell my patients. Alcohol is a master of deception. It might help you fall asleep, but it is a guaranteed recipe for broken sleep. In the medical world, we call this the rebound effect, and your bladder is right at the center of it. Here's the science of why a single glass of wine can turn into 3 trips to the bathroom. Your body has a very smart internal regulator called antidiuretic hormone, or ADH. Think of ADH as a night valve for your kidneys. When you sleep, your brain releases this hormone to tell your kidneys, "Hey, slow down, we're trying to rest. Hold on to that water so we don't have to get up." Alcohol is a direct off switch for that hormone. It suppresses ADH, essentially leaving the faucet wide open. Without that valve working, your kidneys start working overtime, pumping fluid into your bladder at an unnatural speed while you're trying to dream. And it's a double whammy. Because alcohol is also a sedative, it relaxes the muscles in your throat, which can lead to snoring or even mild sleep apnea. When your breathing is disrupted, your heart sends another signal to the kidneys to produce even more urine. So you're not just producing more fluid because of the ADH hijack. Your heart and lungs are inadvertently adding to the problem. You might pass out quickly, but around 2 o'clock or 3 a.m., the sedative wears off, your bladder is overfilled, and you're wide awake, feeling dehydrated but needing to go urgently. I always tell my patients, if you're going to enjoy a drink, try to make it happy hour rather than a nightcap. Having that drink earlier in the evening gives your liver and your hormones time to reset before you hit the pillow. If you're using alcohol specifically to relax at night, try swapping it for a magnesium supplement or a warm, small cup of chamomile. You'll find you wake up feeling much more hydrated and, more importantly, you won't be seeing the bathroom floor at 3 a.m. Now, we're getting close to the top of our list. Drink number 2 is something most people think is the healthiest choice possible, but if you're doing it too late, it's actually a trap. Drink number 2, the hydration catch-up trap. Now, this next one is the ultimate irony. I see it every single day in my practice. You've had a busy day at work, you were running errands, and you realize around 7 p.m., oh no, I barely drank any water today. So, what do? You grab a massive 32-ounce bottle and start chugging to make up for lost time. You feel like you're doing something great for your health. After all, hydration is key, right? But here's the medical reality. Your bladder doesn't have a snooze button for virtue. Here's the science of why flooding the engine late at night backfires. Your body isn't a sponge that just soaks up water and holds it indefinitely. It's a high-speed processing plant. When you dump a large volume of water into your system after 6 p.m., your kidneys see that sudden surge in blood volume and go into overdrive to filter it out. Because you're likely winding down or lying flat shortly after, gravity is no longer pulling fluid toward your legs. It's circulating right back to your heart and kidneys. The result? A full tank exactly when you're trying to enter deep sleep. The secret isn't drinking less water. It's about front-loading. As your doctor, I want you to get your 60 to 80 ounces a day, but I want the lion's share of that finished by 4 o'clock or 5 p.m. Think of your hydration like a funnel, wide at the top in the morning and narrowing down to just small, intentional sips after dinner. If you're just sipping to satisfy thirst or take your evening medications, your body can handle that. But if you're chugging to hit a goal, you're basically setting a 2 a.m. alarm for yourself. So let's make a deal. Keep that water bottle on your desk all morning and afternoon. When the sun goes down, let your kidneys start their evening shift of rest. If you keep the flood to the daylight hours, you'll wake up hydrated and well-rested. Now we've reached number 1. This is the one drink that millions of people, especially seniors, sip every night, thinking it's the ultimate way to relax, but it is actually the biggest bladder betrayer of them all. Drink number 1, the bedtime tea betrayal. We've made it to the number 1 spot, and this is the one that really breaks my patients' hearts. For so many of you, a warm mug of tea is the ultimate evening ritual. It's cozy, it feels clean, and it's how you signal to your brain that the day is over. In fact, many people swap their evening coffee for tea, thinking they've solved the problem. But as a doctor, I see the lab results and the sleep logs, and I'm here to tell you that for your bladder, that soothing cup might be the loudest alarm clock in your house. Here is the hidden medical reality. First, many popular teas like green, black, or oolong actually contain a significant amount of caffeine. Even if the label says low caffeine, it's often enough to stimulate your kidneys. But it goes deeper than that. Many teas contain natural compounds called theophylline. These are powerful, natural diuretics. They don't just fill your bladder with the water you use to brew the tea. They actually signal your body to flush out existing fluids. You might drink an 8-ounce cup of tea, but your body ends up trying to get rid of 12 ounces of fluid as a result. Now, what about the caffeine-free herbal teas? This is where it gets tricky. Certain herbs like dandelion, hibiscus, or even some detox blends are nature's diuretics. They are designed to help you shed water weight. While that's great at 10 a.m., it's a disaster at 10 p.m. Even chamomile, which is wonderful for relaxation, can sometimes act as a mild irritant to a sensitive bladder lining if the brew is too strong. You're essentially giving your bladder a nudge right when it should be going into hibernation. If you absolutely cannot give up your evening tea, here is the clinical workaround. Treat it like a medicine. Keep the portion small, no more than 4 or 5 ounces, and try to finish it at least 2 hours before your head hits the pillow. And most importantly, choose a simple, single-ingredient herb like peppermint or lemon balm that isn't known for diuretic effects. The goal is to keep the ritual but lose the midnight bathroom run. Because at the end of the day, no cup of tea is worth losing your deep, restorative sleep. The bedtime blueprint. What to do instead. All right, we've identified the usual suspects. So how do we actually fix this without going thirsty? The first and most important rule I give my patients is the 3-hour buffer. Try to get your last big serving of liquid finished about 3 hours before your head hits the pillow. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., your kidneys should be finishing their heavy lifting by 7 p.m. Now, if you're thirsty later in the evening, don't panic. You don't have to stay parched. The trick is to sip, don't chug. Instead of a full glass, just take small, intentional sips of plain, room temperature water. This hydrates your mouth and throat without shocking your kidneys into a filtration frenzy. And remember, we're keeping it strictly stimulant-free, no caffeine, no bubbles, and no heavy acids after that 6 p.m. cutoff. I know it sounds simple, but in medicine, often the smallest adjustments yield the biggest breakthroughs. By just shifting your timing and being mindful of what is in your cup, you're giving your bladder a chance to rest and your brain a chance to stay in that deep, healing sleep. Try these changes for just 3 nights, and I think you'll be amazed at how much better you feel when you finally stop seeing the bathroom at 3 a.m. All right, let's do a quick rounds check so you don't forget the essentials. If you want to stop those midnight bathroom runs, these are the 7 offenders you need to bench after 6 p.m. First, we have the soda, the bubbles, and sugar, which is a double whammy. Then, the citrus juices, which are just too acidic for a resting bladder. And of course, energy drinks, which are essentially a way-up siren for your kidneys. Next up, the ones that catch everyone: coffee, even the decaf kind, and alcohol, which hijacks your body's natural fluid control hormones. Don't forget our virtuous mistake, drinking too much water all at once right before bed. And finally, our number one betrayer, that evening tea that's quietly acting as a diuretic while you're trying to dream. Write these down, or better yet, just remember, after 6 p.m., your bladder wants quiet. If you cut these out, you aren't just saving yourself a trip to the bathroom, you're investing in the deep, restorative sleep your body deserves. Give it a try tonight, and let's get you that full 8 hours of rest. The takeaway: remember, waking up at night doesn't have to be your new normal just because of your age. Often, it's just a simple habit that needs a quick medical adjustment. If this helped you understand your body a little better, hit that like button and subscribe to join our health community. And if you're ready to take the next step, you won't want to miss our next video, the one not that supports prostate health and stops nighttime urination. It's a game changer for your evening routine. Better nights start with smarter choices. Stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.